He asked me to the wedding, eyes sincere yet hiding a deceit only I knew. Beneath his vows lay secrets thick as the tension I felt. How could he stand there, pretending love, while silently tethered to the betrayal we both knew too well? Not too long ago, an ornate, ivory invitation arrived in my mailbox. The gilded edges caught the kitchen light, mocking me with its expectation. Initially, I barked out a laugh, hollow and bitter, ricocheting off the walls of my empty apartment. A wedding invitation from my closest friend. Well, he used to be. The thought of their auspicious day felt like ice piercing my chest. Just months ago, I uncovered the secret they kept hidden, a betrayal that leaches onto my thoughts, shadowing every interaction, tainting every smile. I never confronted him, never laid their sins bare. I kept the mask of friendship firmly planted, while beneath, resentment thrummed like a violent current. Then came the invitation, their audacity presuming my blessing. It ignited something primal and furious inside. How dare they presume my ignorance? How dare they think I was blind to the cracks? Clutching the invitation, my fingers tremble, the crisp paper crinkling with the pressure of my grip. The room is dim. The only light spills from the muted screen of my phone, casting ghostly shadows on the walls. I try to focus on the invitation's ornate lettering, but my mind refuses to remain tethered to the present. One errant swipe, one thoughtless scroll, was all it took to shatter everything. That night, I was nestled in the soft cocoon of my bed, mindlessly scrolling as if it could lull me into a forgetful sleep. Then, there it was, a photograph that slipped uninvited into my feed, and with it, the world turned cold, cruel. The image wasn't blurry or obscure. It was painfully precise in its depiction of betrayal. His hand, so casually draped on her waist, was a dagger. Her face, tilted towards him, caught in a soft laugh I could almost hear, carved open the place where trust once lived. My heart slammed against my ribs, skin prickling with the sudden rush of adrenaline. Heat flushed up my neck, burning through the fog of disbelief. I couldn't breathe. Each exhale felt shallow, ragged as if my lungs were rejecting the very air around me. It wasn't just a picture. It was a betrayal, intimate and raw. I stared at the image until the smiling faces blurred, then sharpened again, as if taunting me. My thumb hovered over the screen, caught in a limbo between swiping away and zooming in, as if either action could change the reality before me. I wanted to believe it wasn't real, that it was some cruel prank of lighting or angle. But as I replayed every moment I'd seen them together, every reason I had to trust, those fears whispered behind laughter and shared secrets came rushing in, their voices louder than ever before. God, how long had they been laughing at me? The room suddenly felt claustrophobic, walls pressing in as if trying to crush the naivety from my bones. I threw my phone aside, the clatter of it against the floor echoing in the silence. My breath hitched, ragged and harsh, as I fought to keep the storm within from tearing me apart. Images flickered through my mind, bits and pieces of time spent with them. Conversations that seemed innocuous, touches that were seemingly innocent, all now painted with suspicion and tainted with betrayal. Each memory was a shard of glass in my stomach, twisted with the weight of their treachery. I wanted to scream, to cry, to erase the image from my memory. But the surge of emotion was dammed up behind a wall of shock. Standing in the dim room, feet rooted to the spot, I realized the invitation in my hand wasn't just paper. It was a key to the truth that could no longer be ignored. We were inseparable once, brothers not by blood but by choice, until she became his, an acquisition made in betrayal. The bar is dim, lit mostly by the scattered glow of neon signs casting shades of blue and red across our table. I stare at the condensation pooling around my glass, and feel the icy sting of betrayal down my spine, contrasting the warmth of the whiskey on my tongue. Every clink of glass, every low hum of conversation around me fades, leaving only the ghostly whispers of our past. College was simpler. Mornings spent wrestling with the grog of hangovers, and afternoons wasted away to shared, carefree laughter. Friday nights were ours, loud, boundless, until she appeared. Not that I blamed her, not really. But lines were crossed, boundaries upturned. Her laughter became a melody for him alone, and her smiles held secrets locked away from me. I closed my eyes, but images flood in. Snatches of laughter under campus trees, hands brushing unnoticed until it was too conspicuous to ignore. I picture them in the shadows, their accidental touches evolving into deliberate caresses. Their conversations, once innocent, thickened with unsaid promises, hidden beneath layers of casual exchanges. The truth unravels slowly in heads like these, a creeping erosion grinding against cherished memories. I imagine the subtle language in their eyes, unspoken yet potent and lingering. How simple conversations at coffee shops could turn into clandestine meetings, a brush of fingers across a table seamless, yet devastating. You look lost in thought. A voice cuts in, but it barely registers. Words mean so little when trust hangs in tatters before you. You know how it is. I mutter, my voice heavier than I'd like. Memories. They can hit you hard. His face, familiar yet distant, attempts to crack a smile, as if we're on the same side of this unraveling yarn. I want to believe it, to believe him, but the fractures grow. There she is now, laughing across the room, her presence an echo of what's been stolen from us, denied to me. Waves of emotion crash, from disbelief to the swift burn of anger. Anger not just at him or at her, but at myself for needing them despite it all. It's supposed to get easier, but every glance, every murmured word between them proves unrelenting, as sharp as betrayal itself. His phone buzzes, drawing his focus, probably her, again. An intimacy I'm no longer part of, and it's infuriatingly clear. The text of a reunion turns from casual to concern yet again, until it's my own guilt. Perhaps I didn't see it coming, didn't want to see it. The alcohol stirs the anger, a cocktail of bitterness, and I finally push the glass away. If there's any truth left between us, it rides like a serpent in the pit of my stomach, waiting for clarity, waiting for the reckoning. The air felt thick against my skin, a suffocating stillness enveloping the dimly lit room. I found myself sprawled on the worn couch, the edges of my consciousness blurring under the weight of the revelation I'd stumbled upon. Yet amidst the murky chaos, a singular, dark vision pierced through, a flash forward to the day of their wedding. Instinctively, my mind conjured images of them at the altar, a deceptive tableau of devotion, while I lurked as a shadow at the back, my gaze shielding the raw truth hidden within me. The image was sharp and unervingly vivid, pulling me deeper into its depth until it felt almost tangible, and my stomach churned with twisted apprehension. Her in a gown fringed with innocence, him in black and white elegance, their vows peppered with sweet lies, an orchestra of betrayals playing notes of feigned happiness only I perceived. The notion stabbed at me with an inconceivable pang of dark curiosity, inciting an urge to witness the spectacle even while a voice inside me shrieked at the absurdity, at the insanity of such a silent complicity. I reclined further into the cushions, the fabric rough against my skin, and closed my eyes to the world outside these walls. It was as though simply deciding to be present, to witness this ceremony of constructed happiness, could somehow unravel and lay bare the tangled skein of truth. But what truth? Whose side of it? I pictured my face among the sea of unsuspecting guests, a misplaced puzzle piece tilting toward madness, silently guarding a secret so potent it could shatter the fragile mirage floating before us. This thought, it simmered beneath the surface, stoking a melancholic rage that I felt pooling at the pit of my being, gradually bubbling upwards. Every inhale fanned its flames. There was some bitter solace in their potential future unraveling before me like this, but also a gnawing fear of what it implied about me, about my own complicity or cowardice. Could I watch her, hear her voice distance them further from my reality, and stand idly, as expected? Could I mask the conflated mass of knowing, of suffering, of humiliation, behind a polite smile as assurances of love and fidelity floated through the air like tender autumn leaves? 100 silent, discordant questions battered at my consciousness, each more insistent than the last, culminating in an inevitable storm of decision and confrontation. My thoughts aligned, staggered, reared up again only to drown under the eruption of feeling. I envisioned the power nestled in the quiet, the roaring calm of a hidden truth, and for a moment, I grew dangerously intrigued by its possibilities, entranced by the notion that everything could change with a single spoken word. As the imagined scene contracted and disappeared, I lay there, breath slowing, eyes still shut, caught between the bile of reality and the haunting pull of unanswered questions. It surged up, an undercurrent of infuriating potential, compelling everything toward a decision, ripped open on the bare edge of consciousness, leading me, inexorably, to whatever awaited beyond. The room feels suffocating these days, as if the ghosts of my abandoned dreams haunt every crevice. Yet it's the vows, the imagined slice of time, that haunt me most. Her voice is a melody looping in my memory, soft like the wind through a cracked window, saying things she once said that night beneath starlit skies. "I can't picture growing old with anyone else," she'd whispered, and I'd believed her. I'd wrapped her words around my heart like armor, but now they feel like chains, tightening with every reminder of the future that evaporated before it truly began. She used to say she loved the way the moon danced in my eyes, reflecting promises that were just as sincere as hers, or so I desperately want to believe. The room narrows when I think of how I let those dreams fray at the edges only to watch them unravel completely. It's a cruel sort of nostalgia, feeling like I'm watching an old reel of someone else's contentment. Her smile back then, unguarded and pure, remains etched in my mind, creating an unbearable contrast with my present reality. I picture her in white, smiling not at me, but at another, making vows without the shadows of past whispered promises clinging to their edges. It's surreal, almost like I'm a spectator at a play I used to star in. My role now is to applaud from the darkness, hidden from the spotlight of her new life. I remember the sensation of that promise. Warmth spread across my skin like the hint of sun after a bitter winter. For every promise she made, I made two more, albeit silently, afraid they might lose their magic if spoken too loudly. They were the kind of vows built on half-heard wishes and shared dreams, stale now like forgotten love songs. Pain slices through my chest, an acknowledgement that she deserves the kind of happiness I once dreamed of giving her. But there's an ache too, insistently whispering that those dreams can't just vanish. Despite the sorrow, there's an undercurrent of resolve, a commitment to shift this pain into something approaching acceptance. I long for her presence as much as I dread what's become of those whispered chains, understanding they now connect her to someone else. It's a dream twisted into a maze of melancholy, paths leading nowhere but inward to more memories. Still, beneath the weight of this yearning comes a quiet kind of liberation. It's strange, realizing that what once bound me to her now pushes me to redefine myself. Each breath brings a softness, a resolution that aches less with time. A murmur in my mind, familiar and firm, agrees. I must find my own vows, lay them out under a different sky, free from the shadows of what might have been. I find myself pacing the dimly lit living room, each step echoing the unsettled rhythm of my heartbeat. It's late, too late, but sleep is a distant luxury, a sullen, unforgiving void. I guess this is how it feels when truth claws at your insides, demanding to be unfurled. In my mind's theater, I unleash their deceit, words and accusations crashing in waves, cleansing yet consuming. I imagine their faces, stunned, paling beneath the weight of revelations they never saw coming. There's a cruel satisfaction in rehearsing these confrontations, like rehearsals for a cathartic purge. Footsteps in the hallway make me flinch. Just the cat. God, I'm so on edge. I let the fantasy play on, though, a sequence of scenes cycling relentlessly. We're gathered around the family table. Their smiles are smug, polite masks of genteel deceit. And I, with trembling hands and fierce eyes, shred those masks with a litany of truths. But it's all just air, isn't it? Hot air. The gap between what I imagine and what I can actually do feels like a chasm I can't cross. My anger simmers beneath my skin, an engine without fuel for action, just noise. A simple click of the lock interrupts it. Reality, so unrelenting in its solidity, crashes back in. Everything all right? Distant voice, hoping I'm asleep. I should yell back. Tell them everything's peeling apart under the surface, but my throat tightens and all that comes out is, yeah, all good. A lie to preserve peace, their peace, while I'm at war with myself. The visions spiral again, tomorrow at dinner. I stand abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor, a sound that feels like an exclamation point. I can taste the silence that follows, thick and expectant. I know everything. I declare, words flung like sharp stones into a serene pond. I watch. Oh, how I watch. The ripples distort their composure. They try to recover. I know they would. A quick chuckle, dismissive words. But I wouldn't stop. I'd push harder, right to the uncomfortable truths. Yet just as quickly, my throat closes again, and the scene melts into shadows of would-be courage. Dragging myself to the window, I look out into the night, into the nothingness between dreams of justice served and the reality of my restrained cowardice. The stars blink indifferently, things infinitely larger than our petty betrayals and fears, reminding me how small all of this really is. In another scene, I imagine every detail, the way their expressions would shift from disbelief to defenseless vulnerability. There's power in the fantasy, but as real as I make it, there's always the tether to here, to right now, holding me back, anchoring me in this unending torturous limbo. Silence thickens around me, a blanket suffocating under all the words I don't say. Fingers tapping against my thigh, I keep the storm at bay, trying to remind myself there's a time for everything, even if I can't see it yet. My fingers hover over the keyboard, shaking slightly. Each keystroke feels like a potential detonation. It's strange how one truth can weigh so heavily, but also feel like air slipping through your fingers. I'm caught in this limbo, my head echoing with the question, do I need this? Will it heal or further corrode what's left of me? The room is dim, the curtains drawn tight against the late afternoon sun. Shadows cast themselves long and thin across the floor, reaching out like the consequences of my imagination, like paths I am tempted to follow but fear to tread. I press my palms into my eyes, trying to subdue the barrage of images. Of them, unaware, going about their lives as if they hadn't trampled over mine. My heart is a relentless drum, urging me to act, to press send on the message sitting unsent, a document of all their sins. Is the truth a weapon against them or the last vestige of my own shattered decency? The question spirals in my mind, turning like a knife. It scrapes against the remnants of my integrity, demanding rawness, vulnerability, or maybe something darker. Can I afford to be tainted by revenge? Or am I already there, standing at the brink, toes curled over the edge? In the kitchen, the kettle whines, pulling me back with its dull reality. I need to get up, to shift this oppressive weight. Moving like a ghost across the room, I pour the scalding water into a cup, watching steam whisper upwards like a sigh of relief. But there's none. The knot in my chest refuses to unravel, only tightening with each breath. They say catharsis comes with revelation, with confrontation. But here, the truth is tangled with barbs, promising backlash as sharp as the pain it would unleash. I can't help but wonder, though, what shape my release would take. Would it be a flood, washing me cleansed and new, or a trickle, leaving scars of its own, indistinct but ever-present? The clatter of the cup against the countertop startles me back into my skin. I grip the edge of the sink, knuckles white with the force of holding on. Across the room, my computer sits in silence, cursor blinking against the page like the pulse of a living thing. It waits for its command, for the decision I'm too afraid to make but can no longer ignore. I imagine their faces if the truth unfurls, surprise, horror, maybe even contrition. Or perhaps nothing at all, a simple casting aside, leaving me standing alone, clutching at recriminations that no longer hold meaning. But then, isn't that my justice, the only tangibility left in this hollow void? Breathing deep, I straighten, feeling the inevitability settle over me with a kind of acceptance. The room swells with the tension again, pregnant with the coming storm. I return to my seat, the light from the screen illuminating only a fraction of what I feel. Beyond it, shadowed uncertainty. It waits, as I do, for the narrative to change with just one simple action. The day feels like a windowless room, suffocating and binding. Light cascades through the blinds and slivers, slicing the room into pieces I can scarcely put back together. Each ray is too bright, carrying the weight of what's about to happen. I stand in front of the mirror, the crisp white shirt stark against my skin, its surface as unblemished as I should be, but am not. My fingers fumble slightly as I reach for the tie, a sable ribbon that seems heavier today. As I fasten it around my neck, the knot gradually tightening, It feels like a noose harboring secrets aching to be freed from their cage. The silence in my room competes with the internal cacophony, louder than the usual morning soundtrack, the pounding drums of my restless heart. I press my palms flat against the cool surface of the dresser, trying to draw from its steadiness, its cold calm. The ceremony will commence in less than an hour. I try not to think of the clock ticking. Instead, I focus on each meticulous detail of my ritual. Splashes of water against my face, the subtle burn of aftershave, each action seemingly irrelevant but grounding in this surreal tapestry of what a day like today should be. Sliding my feet into polished shoes, their surface a reflection of everything I've polished over the years, my stories, my truths, my secrets. My breath catches. She will walk down that aisle, garbed in expectations and shared sweet nothings now soured by things said and unsaid. How did it come to this point? What threads in the fabric of our history loosened, unraveling into the deadweight of this day? I step out into the sun, unexpectedly warmer than it should be. The sky wears a cloudless blue, mocking my inner turmoil. As I walk towards the looming building, each step echoes the rhythms of a familiar longing mingled with dread. Faces surround me, adorned with joy, responsibilities, perhaps blissful ignorance. They don't know. They can't possibly know. I glance around, my eyes catching on each flourish of fabric, each face alight with anticipation. Colors blend into a mishmash of emotions, yet everything seems to be happening in slow motion, each frame indistinguishable from the last. The guests, an array of expressions, happiness, oblivion, hope. Everything feels foreign, disconnected from the contours of my internal landscape. There she is, somewhere beyond my sight, preparing herself just as meticulously for fate's unyielding stage. My mind carves out what the scene will be, the softness of her gown, the delicate veil shadowing truths, her smile, a perfect alibi for the encroaching whisper of reality. We will see this dance through its final steps. Not because it's what we want, but because it's what was constructed long before today, piece by inevitable piece. The melodies of every orchestrated move to now, and I am trapped in the symphony, holding my breath, waiting for the inevitable crescendo. The room swelled with a golden luminescence, the kind staged in movies where everything seems blessed by fairy tale perfection. The scent of peonies hung cloyingly in the air, intimidating in their abundance, masking the stale undercurrent of discomfort. I stood amongst them, an uninvited guest woven silently into the tapestry of their happiness. The aisle stretched like an elongated path to nowhere. Each step they took toward one another was like a twist of a knife embedded in my chest, and each word, love, forever, cherish, felt like a separate insult, a horrific reminder of the facade unfurling like some grotesque cosmic joke. We all watched and nodded, pretending not to see through the thin veneer of overbright eyes and fake smiles. Do you take? Their voices merged with the muffled rustle of silk and whispers of expectation. The officiant's practiced words were steady, unfaltering, nearly mechanical, gliding off his tongue with all the sincerity of a well-rehearsed play. I studied his eyes. They betrayed nothing. A mere functionary of rites that should bind but instead felt strangling. And then came the vow, like a glacier's cold rush of inevitability. I do. Her voice, trembling on the edge of sweetness, bore through my defenses, exposing every fissure. His response mirrored hers in strength, a proclamation of unity as tumultuous as it was fraudulent. I do. The words echoed inside my skeleton, the sound ricocheting off my heart. No time to brace against the echoes of betrayal. There, I do's echo, a thunderous peal of lies cloaked in ivory promises, threatening to expose the raw truth lurking beneath my composure. Ivory lies. I wanted to laugh at the irony, or, perhaps, scream. But the weight pinned me silent, as if some unseen hand pressed upon my shoulders, shackling my heart with invisible chains. I caught his eye, just for a fleeting moment. Did his glance flicker, or was it merely the whims of my own desperation manufacturing hope where there was none? A single heartbeat of shared recognition would have been enough, but he turned away, already lost to another world built on maintained appearances and whispered deceit. A voice in my head screamed to flee, to bolt from the illusion and the cruel ghost of what could have been. Yet my feet stayed rooted, entrapped by the morbid allure of watching the final curtain fall. The applause erupted, a persistent roar that drowned the silence, declaring acceptance of all the things I couldn't grasp. My heart pounded, a throb with each clap, each cheer, a relentless reminder of a chapter signing shut with the sick indifference of destiny. Here they were, usurped from my fantasies and gifted to another. And so I stayed twisted in the gaps between breaths, waiting for an internal scream that wouldn't come, part of me whispering to the universe, "Let them see what I am too afraid to reveal." The truth claws at my insides, neither a poison nor a salve, but a choice, begging dilemma at love's altar for final judgment. I'm perched on the edge of this world, my chest tight with anticipation and dread as I watch them, caught in a moment I was never meant to see. The air is thick between us, though they remain blissfully unaware, lost in their universe where only they exist. Rebecca's laughter rings out, a melody that resonates deep within me, an echo of all the moments we've shared. But now, standing shadowed by this truth, it feels like an eulogy, a brittle sound crumbling under the weight of what's unsaid. David leans closer, his eyes fixed on hers with an intensity that once felt as if it were directed at me. The room is silent, waiting for me to make the move that would shatter its fragile peace. I want to scream, to wrench them apart with the force of my unspent words, but my voice drowns in the flood of their impending kiss. In this breathless pause, life offers me a cruel choice, to sever or to solder, to destroy or to preserve what I've held dear. My heart thrums uncontrollably, each beat a whispered plea for time to slow, for clarity amidst this chaos. As they inch closer, Rebecca's eyes dip away as if sensing my gaze, flickering for just a second toward where I stand, invisible but felt. I see it then, the slightest hesitation, a crack in the facade, and yet I'm rooted to the spot, my resolve as tenuous as the air we share. Do I hold the line, maintain this illusion of loyalty, or do I leap, a harbinger of truths that tear affection by its roots? I clench my fists, nails biting into my palms to tether myself to reality. The room's shadows stretch long and dark, a prelude to a storm I'm poised to unleash. The quiet folds around us tightly. It's no longer a cocoon but a vice, squeezing tighter with each second that ticks by. Their lips meet, a gentle graze at first, testing the boundary of this new beginning. My breath hitches, suspended on the precipice of revelation. Yet, there's a relief, a cruel twist of fate offering answers in the act itself. They find what I cannot give, and in that, I find my decision. I turn away, stepping back into the obscurity of my own silence. There's strength in the acceptance, an odd peace that wraps around the pain like an old friend. Maybe I let it pass for now. Maybe this isn't the day I upend their world. It all demands more than a decision. It demands resolve. And at this moment, all I have are echoes, a whisper of what could be. As I leave them to their budding reality, I know I'm not walking away without scars. But there are battles yet to fight, truths yet to reveal. Not today, I tell myself. Not like this. The crowd's applause surges around me like a rolling tide, an ocean of noise swallowing my scattered thoughts. I stand on this stage, a universe away from the chaos in my mind, yet startlingly close to the edge of a simple truth, a truth that's found me, cradled me, as I draw in a deep breath that clings to the quiet lining of my heart. With each inhalation, I feel the remnants of anger and hurt loosen their grip, slipping away like sand through desperate fingers. I can still sense the residual sting of betrayal, its lingering shadow a ghost of what was once a tempest. But now, standing silent, I'm a specter of all that should remain unsaid. My eyes scan this tapestry of faces, each one a mirror reflecting fragments of my own vulnerability. I found myself here to reclaim a piece of what was lost, pride, dignity, autonomy, and now, standing here, I'm swallowed by the bittersweet liberation of a silent escape. The applause fades, replaced by the hum of anticipation that ricochets through the crowd. Yet, as they await words of grandeur, I offer none. My silence is my soliloquy, the clearest statement I can make to the world that once sought to crumble me. In this quiet, I wield a power that was never forged in spoken words but in the steadfast resolve of choosing what's unspoken, echoing in the chambers of a heart too weary for declarations sought by others. Surrounded by expectant eyes, I imagine my voice booming, breaking through this sea of quiet acceptance, delivering an anthem of defiance, a declaration of survival. But instead, there's only silence, as deep and consuming as the night that blankets a restless city. It tastes sweet on my lips, this silence, a defiant answer to a world screaming for noise. I step back, my chest no longer heaving, muscles relaxing into the serenity that grips me. I look towards the exit, the shadows folding around the door, offering me an avenue uncharted but full of potential. Every step away from this stage is a step out of the chaos. It's leaving behind what was broken beyond repair, choosing instead the calm that comes with knowing the power of personal integrity. With each stride, the air grows cooler, brushing against my skin like a lover trailing gentle fingertips. Whispers follow me, like echoes growing fainter, and as I cross the threshold, the applause resumes, a distant rumble against the solemn lullaby I carry within. Here, beneath the universe's wide arch, I realize that the stillness within me commands more strength than any proclamation, a seamless melding of resignation and new beginnings. As the door closes behind me, shutting out the noise, I emerge into a world painted freshly alive by my newfound silence. There's a soothing resolve in the air, wrapping around me like a promise that all is temporarily quiet here in the solitude. I breathe a final, free sigh, my thoughts quiet but resoundingly clear.